Hey, if you're an actor at the start of your career, or if you're an actor who hasn't started at all, no judgment. But I do want you to know that it has never been a better time to get started with Backstage. Just go to backstage.com/subscribe and enter the code word envelope at checkout for a 30-day free trial. That's 30 whole days. You can browse through thousands of casting notices from thousands of filmmakers, producers, casting directors, all looking for talent just like you. Make a profile, upload a headshot, find out what kind of projects you want to be a part of. Backstage is where you book that very first role. It's also where you book that second role, and then that third role, and then you keep booking roles all the way up until you win that Oscar. And then you can come join me here on In the Envelope. We love a full circle moment here at Backstage. But first, you gotta subscribe, and again, that's 30 days free if you use the code word envelope at checkout. ENVELOPE envelope, 30 days free. Get those roles. And I'll see you back here when I interview you when you win an Oscar. Cannot wait. Welcome to In the Envelope, a podcast from Backstage, the one-stop shop for actors and creators both above and below the line. I am your host, Vinnie Mancuso, Backstage Senior Editor and Professional Entertainment Obsessive. I'll be your guide through every corner of the creative industry with the help of some of your favorite stars. Here you'll find intimate, in-depth talks with today's most award-worthy names in film, television, and theater. Along the way, we'll get advice on living your best creative life, relatable stories of the highest highs and lowest lows, and maybe, just maybe, a rare peek in the envelope.
So I did have one session with a dialect coach, and that kind of changed everything for me. And the biggest takeaway was he said that Americans say no like they're saying no to a dog. They say no. Whereas Australians, they sing a song. It's like, no. I think just that energy of no, it formed a lot.
Welcome to a brand new episode of In the Envelope, the Actors Podcast. I am your host, Backstage Senior Editor, Vinnie Mancuso, and joining us today is someone you've probably already heard of and will probably hear a lot more about going forward, the great Geraldine Viswanathan. Now, Geraldine first had her breakout year in 2018 with a starring role in Blockers, one of the best studio comedies of the last, 20 years. If you've not seen Blockers, get on that immediately. And that led to 4 seasons of the anthology comedy series Miracle Workers, alongside Daniel Radcliffe and Steve Buscemi. But this year, 2024, for anyone listening in the future, sees Geraldine leveling up in a massive way. First, with Drive Away Dolls, the very first film directed solo by Ethan Coen of Coen Brothers fame, from a script he wrote with his wife, a legend in her own right, Trisha Cook. Geraldine stars with Margaret Qualley as 2 queer friends who, in pretty classic Coen fashion, find themselves unwittingly in the sights of a criminal crew during a road trip from Philadelphia to Tallahassee, Florida. And Geraldine is jumping right from the release of Drive Away Dolls right into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As you might have heard, Geraldine is replacing star of The Bear and former In the Envelope guest Ayo Edebiri in Thunderbolts, which is filming this year. It was so great to catch up with Geraldine at this incredible moment in her career. We looked back at the long road to get here and also dove into what this current whirlwind has been like, from working with Margaret Qualley and Ethan Coen and Matt Damon on Drive Away Dolls to everything she could say about getting ready for Thunderbolts, which includes by far the best perk of signing up for a Marvel gig. It's a really, really great chat with a really, really great actor. Let's get right into it. Here is Geraldine Viswanathan. Geraldine, how are you doing? Thank you so much for being here during what I can imagine is a very busy time for you.
Oh my gosh, of course. Yeah, I feel like it's been a bit of a whirlwind, and now I'm kind of like coming back up for air and going, wait, what is my life? before this, but it's good. It's an exciting time.
Are you a reflective person? Are you somebody who likes to take that stock or like look back on how you got here, or is it kind of let's live in the whirlwind a little bit?
Absolutely. No, I need process time. I need like some introspection, journaling, looking through my camera roll, going, what just happened? Because I feel like when you're in the whirlwind, it can feel a bit like blackout vibes. I think it's hard to be fully present when you're like, there's so many tabs open in your brain.
Yes. Or your computer or literally.
Yes, exactly. So I've been really relishing these quiet moments.
I do love a camera roll scroll after a time like this. And you're like, what? Who? Like, when?
Exactly. I'm like just kind of watching my own life happen, scrolling it like it's Instagram, being like, whoa, that was awesome.
Is there any, again, I'm not going to, ask you to delve too deep into your own camera roll. That is your camera roll. But is there any particular like moment or memory where it was like really like, where was I during that? What was that for me?
Yeah, I took a screenshot of me on the Kelly Clarkson show next to Jenny Slate, because I'm a huge Jenny Slate fan and I have been for so long, and it's just so surreal. And it was one of those things where like, I was doing the Kelly Clarkson show and then I had 10 minutes to change over my outfit and my look to go on the Seth Meyers show. And I was just so, once again, kind of blacked out that I kind of didn't even get to take in the fact that I was like hanging out with Jenny Slate, who's such an idol of mine.
Absolutely. We had her on the show when she was doing Marcel the Show, and she's just she's everything you want her to be in conversation and more.
She's dream girl. Absolutely.
So I hope that we can, be a moment of reflection for you because, at Backstage, we love to see the journey. I can't wait to talk about Drive Away Dolls and everything else you have in your plate, but we do want to go back to see how you got to this very exciting state. I do want to ask about something, and this is something I've always enjoyed doing because I couldn't really verify whether or not it was true. So I will just ask you, is it true that you did a Kodak commercial when you were 4 years old?
It's true.
Okay,
my mom
cool.
just sent me a photo of me on set being like, this was your first job. Yeah, my I feel like, not to brag, but I was a pretty cute
No,
kid.
please.
Yeah, I'm going to flex on you real quick, but I was in this agency called Cute Kids as a child.
I mean, it's right in the name.
Yeah, I guess, my parents put me to work but that's all I did. I think, yeah, just that Kodak commercial, but it was really cool. It was at Fox Studios in Sydney, and I remember feeling pretty awesome and wearing like a cool outfit.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, I don't have a ton of memories from this before, so like I don't know what you remember from. That was your very first on-set experience. I have to imagine this was your first time seeing what a set was like. Is there any image, memory that sticks out to you that is burned in there?
It's nothing, absolutely nothing work related or helpful. The only like thing I remember from that was, as a little treat for doing a good job on set, I got do you remember in the 90s those like beads that you would put in your door frame?
Yes, very much so. They sold them at Spencer's, and yes, I got that as like a wrap gift, and that was, that made it extra special. I love that. I could see how that could, drive a whole career. Just chasing the high.
Exactly. I'm just trying to get my little treat at the end.
So was that, that was when you were 4. Was that pre or post you sort of getting the bug to be in front of the camera? Was that an experience that was kind of divorced from wanting to be an actor, or did that kick it off, or is that it related in any way?
I think it was pretty pre. I think I was a really chatty kid. I loved, like, all my baby videos, I just don't shut up. Like, I just am telling stories so passionately, and like my brain is going so much faster than my mouth, like my knowledge of words. So I'm really struggling to like I'm just not making any sense, but I'm just telling stories with such passion and conviction. And I think that's what led me to getting into the performing arts school in my hometown. There was like, there was like the public schools and the private schools, and then 2 selective schools. There was like a smart school and a performing school. And they just I was 6 and they just put me in front of them and I was just like, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, you're welcome here. That's performing, I guess. So yeah, I feel like it really just, how cliche to be like telling stories, but I think I just had that sort of disposition pretty early on, and then got the bug a bit later, I think. I kind of remember when I got the bug.
When was it? Not to jump ahead in my questions, but when was this bug?
Imagine I don't tell you.
Like that is none of your business.
Yeah, and you'll have to wait. I was in 5th grade and I would always audition for the school plays. Never got them. Don't know what that's about, but just was like always just kind of on the outside. And then eventually they let me do like they gave me one line in one of the plays and it was a joke and about watching TV. And the joke was kind of like, kids watch a lot of TV, right?
Classic.
And yes. The parents loved it. And it kind of it went off. I just remember getting a laugh and just being like, wow, this feels awesome. I remember that feeling so distinctly, and remember where I was standing on stage, and that's, I think, when I was like, okay, I'm a bit addicted to this. And then I just became like a certified drama clowning freak throughout the rest of school.
At that age, are you employing any technique? Are you like breaking it down in any way, or is that at that stage, are you kind of just purely following instincts?
I think following instincts. I think I watched a lot of TV,
Yes.
a lot of sitcoms, a lot, and I feel like I got a lot of my training or just sort of understanding of comedic timing or joke structure through that. I think I watched Friends, obviously, Third Rock from the Sun, Arrested Development. I think just these binge, absolute junkie for it. And I think that just sort of has influenced my instincts. No, I didn't really have a process back then.
I'm always curious how actors sort of realize when they do have a process. So at that age, you're following your instincts. You're kind of just, you're doing a form of, not mimicry, but you're just sort of immersing yourself in it and doing what they do. But you did go through a lot of formal training, and like you said, you went to a school for performing arts, and you did a few more classes even after that. I'm curious, what from your formal training did you most add to the toolbox? What is something that you still sort of go back to that is from training?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like drama in school was very much training for stage and how to own a space and status on stage, and kind of these things that I don't really use a lot now. And then a lot of training I did when I was sort of, aspiring to be an actor was a lot of auditioning training, self-tapes. And I think I did do one class that really changed the game for me on self-taping. And that was really the crux of it. There was a lot of technical things eye line this way, not this way. And, be still, have do something with your hands in the beginning so that when the casting director sees the thumbnail, that yours will stick out because your hands are up. Just really technical
tips and tricks and stuff like that.
Tips and tricks. And then in terms of now I'm kind of just flailing about. I don't know. I think I'm still, I'm definitely honing in on what my process is, but it's a lot of, I don't know. I think I listen to actors talking about it and talk to myself and go crazy. I'm still nailing that down for sure.
I was going to ask you, do you still sort of feel like you're figuring that out? The idea of having a process, would you say that you don't have set in stone, here are my steps? Or are there things that you sort of, it doesn't have to be like, you do the Meisner or whatever. It doesn't have to be like, here's what I do. It's like, but are there things that have helped you in, because you've done a wide variety of genres and roles and stuff like that. Is there something that has helped for each one, or does it kind of depend?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. There are a couple of things that I do pretty much every time, which is like write down a list of characteristics about the character that's in the script. I saw Jessica Chastain talking about like doing one row that's what you say about yourself and one what other characters say about you. I thought that was really cool. But I've kind of just done, I remember doing, I did do one class in like a woman's garage when I was like 18 and in LA.
Sounds like most classes in LA.
Yeah. It was interesting. But one thing that she did, we would like write down a list of characteristics and then sort of like meditate on that and try and go down each word and see how you identify as those things, which I think is a good way of kind of, locating how you feel similar to someone or how you feel really dissimilar to someone, and then like understanding that gap. But that's one. I think like journaling is something that I do in my life every single day. I feel crazy without it, so it's a very natural extension of my process, where I like to journal as the character. Sometimes I know some people write like books, and I'm just like, I don't know about that, but some core memories, some core relationships, just little things to help you get in that mindset. But so much of it is just instinctual, really.
Hoping it comes back every time. That always feels so. I guess it sounds stressful. It sounds like a stressful.
Oh my God,
thing.
it's awful. And I think especially doing Drive Away Dolls was the most I've been like, like what? I don't know what I'm doing. Like it's just, that one was definitely the most panic and desperation I've ever felt.
Is it also like it's a lot of? It's not like, as someone who to me that sounds like it would be a big panic, but it's also a lot of trust in yourself that you take this job, and when the moment you say yes, you have no idea how you're going to do it, but you're like, I'm going to figure it out. I've done it before. I've done it again. Is that sort of part of how stuff like journaling helps? It's also like a reminder that you've done it before.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think especially with Drive Away Dolls, like I really, when the audition came through, I had an instinct. I had like a first impression of this character and how what my instincts are leading me to do and what like choices to make and the rhythm of it. I think so much of it is in the writing, and that is the gift of doing Coen work. It's just they're unbelievable writers. But I think, I had a pretty strong feeling about how I wanted to do it. And then I think just as I was doing it, I guess Ethan is so amazing and he just really trusts everyone to do what they do best. Like he really just, and he did say that at the beginning. He was like, I remember in rehearsals, he was like, well, the artists won't be the issue here. Like, he was always like, you know what you're doing, you'll be fine. But sort of as I went and was doing what I thought was right and not getting much feedback, I started to kind of spiral and be like, but is it right? I don't know. Like, what do you think? And but I think I also try and just, sometimes that experience lends itself to the part as well. I try and embrace whatever I'm feeling, because I imagine like if I had played Jamie in that movie, I think I would have had a really different experience. I think you absorb the character's energy just kind of cosmically. I don't know.
It's interesting to, you say that you sort of use what's happening around you for the part. I think people on this podcast have said that before. I think it was like, one of our very first episodes with like Sebastian Stan, who was like, his only advice is like, bring the day with you, you know, whatever's happening around you. So I'm curious, you know, when you're working with somebody like Ethan Coen, who has been doing this for a very long time, how does that sort of just his wealth of experience like manifest for you? Like, was it like a trust, a confidence that like he's done this before? How does working with someone who's been doing this for so long manifest for you as an actor working for that person?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think, you know, beyond sort of like the intimidation, kind of like you know, reverence that I had, I think he just was. It all just felt very seamless and very like fun and easy. And really it made it was amazing. Like our jobs on set were really just to like show up and do what we do. There was, you know, sometimes when you get on set, there's like, you're punching up lines as you go and you're workshopping scenes, or, you know, you're figuring out blocking, or it just can feel chaotic and stressful, or people don't know what they're doing. But this was like just it's all in the script. You show up, it's all done for you. It's very like the blocking's done, the setups are done. There's limited takes, there's limited setups, there's limited coverage. It's so he just knows exactly what he needs for the edit. I mean, him and Trish, you know, well, Trish especially is an editor, and I think that all the best filmmakers are editing the movie as they go. So it really was just so easy. And that's, I think, yeah, where I really was like, oh, this is my first time making a movie with someone who's made a million movies.
Yeah.
And it just was seamless.
Are you like a hash it out with the director kind of person, where it's not such, you know, here's the blocking, here's the coverage. It's you get to, and you're like, what can we do here? What's the opportunities here?
Yeah, I think I'm used to working more in that way, especially with comedy. It's really like you're always trying to find more jokes and trying to milk it as much as you can. So this was a completely different way of working for me, which was really interesting. But it kind of made me wish I was more of a theater trained actor or something. I really want to like do a play now, because I would love to have more of it, because I am I'm pretty kind of instinctual, and I like to be loose and see what happens, and I think that's just more what I'm familiar with. So I've tried it both ways now, and I want to be better at kind of like performing the piece rather than like seeing what you can find. But I think naturally for me, I feel like I'm probably more of a seeing what you can find kind of person.
I love that. As I sort of like go down the list of interesting things about your journey here, I think I read that you were at one point a reader in casting rooms. Mm-hmm. What? I guess the larger question is, what was that experience like? Because casting rooms are an ecosystem altogether. It is a wild thing to experience. I'm curious also what that added to your mindset as an actor. You know, what did that experience being in that environment, in that role as a person doing the reading for the casting, how did that affect you as an actor in your own work?
Yeah, I think honestly that was one of the best things that I highly recommend any aspiring actors to do that, because it really did change the game for me. I did all the reading for the Crazy Rich Asians castings, and it was just so interesting seeing what energy people came into the room with. I think so much of this is about energy, and you seeing it from that other side. Yeah, the casting directors only get, a couple of minutes of interaction with you, and it's very potent. So you kind of want to, bring kind of an openness and a sense of humor too, like just sort of a willingness and an ease. And like I remember who came in, I think it was Ronnie Chang came in and was just so charismatic and like just funny and it was very, very much just, there was just no desperation and just kind of this sense of like, well, thanks for seeing me. See you again. Like, if it's not this, it'll be something else. Like this kind of quiet confidence of like, yeah, this is just what we do, right? And I think people who are more nervous, it's harder because you're like, oh no, don't be nervous. Like just enjoy it. So it was really helpful. And I think that coupled with like doing stand-up comedy, I think these were things that really helped me just take auditioning off the pedestal and make it less significant and just enjoy the process more. And it doesn't have to be scary.
It's great to hear that because, I hear a lot from people, who talk about auditions, and they always say that a big turning point for them was understanding the a million intangibles that go into why you might get the role. And it is sometimes it's like you walk in, you're like, that person just really confident, they didn't even before they read their lines, they're cast, or the confidence is not right for the role and it's not going to work. It's these million different things beyond just learning the sides that go into why somebody is cast. So it's great to hear.
Yeah. I feel like that's why I really never took it personally. I feel like I hear a lot about actors talking about rejection, and it's something that I'm like, yeah, technically we're being rejected, but I never processed it in that way. I was always just like, it's so nebulous and impossible what makes someone right for something, and it's so not personal and has kind of like nothing to do with your abilities. It's just what they need to service this small part in this bigger picture. And it's just keeping it as impersonal as possible.
Absolutely. You mentioned, that mixed with comedy really helped. I do want to ask you about, you had lots of experience in, stand-up sketch. You think you were in a group, Freudian Nip, in Sydney. Your first film role was in Blockers, incredible comedy. I think part of your persona has always been the comedy and the comedic timing. I'm always interested to ask comedic actors, people who are funny, whether they think it is a possible learned skill. Is that something that you can get good at if you're not? Is comedic timing something you can practice? Or is comedy, especially timing, something that you kind of have to have an innate ability for? And I've gotten the entire spectrum of answers to that question.
Ooh, I'd love to know what you think about this.
I will tell you after I get your opinion. No,
okay.
I actually, yes, you go first because this is not, people did not tune in to hear my answer to the question.
Fair enough. It's tricky. I kind of think you either got it or you don't. I kind of think it's really hard to learn how to be funny. I think that there are ways that you can harness your natural kind of impulses to be funny, but it's hard to. I find there's a lot of people that are funny, but they don't understand how and why they're funny, and I'm just kind of like, I wish I could show you. I wish I could just make you see that that you're funny because you're really serious, or like you're funny because you're really strange and silly, but you want to be taken seriously. Like, I think that there's it's hard for people to see themselves truly without their own kind of projections of what they want to be seen as. But I think it's pretty, in terms of timing and stuff, I think that that's a natural thing. And I think for me, if ever I'm thinking about the timing of something, it's bad. It's not right. You want to be not thinking about it at all. I think so much of comedy is like transcending, and I think that's a big thing of what I love about it. You're kind of just like, you get in the flow, and get out of your way and just open it up for something to happen or to come to you. And I think that you can't force it.
Yes,
it's my experience.
I do think that some actors exist that are so good at the homework and the techniques that they can play a funny person. If the character is funny, they can be funny as that person. But I think when it comes, like you said, specifically to like timing, it is like an inner ear thing where you can tell if somebody is doing it or if they're thinking of the exact beat that will make it funny timing. It's just one of those things that I like asking people about because there's no answer. I'm sure somebody has learned to be funnier. They teach. There are many garages in LA where people are learning comedy and stuff like that. It's just
that's true.
This is why we do this podcast, is to get the opinion. There are no answers. Unfortunately, there are no actual answers.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about before we dive, into your most recent project is something else that you're very good at, and that is an American accent.
Hey.
But it's just me saying as an American. As an American, I find it very interesting when somebody's good at it because I can't, I don't know what that means. So in your accent work, what is your process there? I know that we've sort of already established that it depends, but specifically when it comes to doing an accent, how have you found to be most helpful in making that work?
American accent. I've been when I got blockers on the first day, I had just been doing my sort of best American impression, and Kate Cannon was like, "Oh, we're gonna need a coach." And I did have one session with a dialect coach, and that kind of changed everything for me. And the biggest takeaway was he said that Americans say no like they're saying no to a dog. They say no, whereas Australians, they sing a song. It's like no. But I think just that energy of no. It formed a lot. And ever since then, honestly just living in America, I think it's similar to the comedic timing thing, or the whole thing is just, it does feel quite instinctual. Like I don't feel like I have a huge technique other than I guess I've practiced for so long now. I spend so much of my time doing an American accent. And in terms of process, I just have one phrase that I use that really helps me when I just need to reset, because it's just a different placement. Like Australian is so in the back and sort of lazy, but then American is so in the front. And the phrase that helps me get my mouth around it is, all Sheila talks about are all the water sports she takes part in. And for some reason it hits all of the points, and it just gets me there, and suddenly it's like muscle memory. Suddenly I'm back in my American voice.
What is the origin of that specifically?
I think I was doing a self-tape with someone in Sydney, and they told me about that.
That's
and
so
I just
interesting.
Took it with me forever because it's great. It's really it's really helpful. Because at the beginning, I would try and stay in the American accent the whole shoot so that I'm not switching back and forth. But now I'm able to switch back and forth, and that's one of the ways that sometimes I can whip myself back into shape.
Yeah, acting is wild. They hear about the little tips and tricks like that. Like you said, the tips and tricks.
Uh-huh.
It is apps. I get the widest range of answers to things, and I think it really does come down to that. Whatever the process is, it will absolutely be very specific to that person. There is no one size fit all for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So I am curious, about Drive Away Dolls. I think I read somewhere that when you got the call that you got this part in the Coen brother singular movie with Trisha Cook, who is another legend, that you were on set of Miracle Workers. I'm always curious to hear about those kind of calls, the ones that sort of, it's not like there's no such thing as an overnight success, but this is obviously a very big project. So I'm curious about that call and what it's like and what the immediate reaction is, and then how you snap, especially when you're on set for Miracle Workers, how you snap back to, reality at work.
I remember it so clearly. It was so insane. I mean, I guess not many people have seen this season of Miracle Workers, so I have to really paint the scene here. But
yes, please.
I'm in we were shooting in the desert in a heat wave, and I'm wearing this leather get up, layers of leather, because I'm this warlord, and I've got covered in spikes, and my hair is teased up, and I'm wearing black crazy makeup, and The scene was me like jumping on this car and screaming at this man and trying to make myself throw up onto the car. Like it's literally like me being as insane as I think I've ever been, like just completely insane. And so I'm like sweating. I like feel sick. I'm so tired. My voice is like blown out. And then I get the call from my team and they're like, you got the part. And I was just like, oh my God. It was just so, I mean, yeah, completely insane and surreal. And then, you just have to kind of like get back up and do another take of the insanity scene. So it was weird, man. But I think the whole I was working on Miracle Workers that for the whole like audition process. And I think it actually really helped me because I was working and I had family in town visiting me and I was really busy. So it really took all the pressure off that process. It really was just like, oh, well, you like, you have to do this, obviously. So like make it work. But I wasn't, I couldn't think about it too much because there was just so much going on. And I think that that helped me.
I read that you and Margaret Qualley, your co-star in this film, didn't meet in person until after, chemistry reads and stuff like that, until after auditions. It's another topic that comes up a lot on this podcast is chemistry. What it means. Is it real? Can you build it? Can you learn it? So in this specific, using this as a specific example, playing friends is a very specific kind of chemistry, especially in this film. How did you go about building it? And what is the difference between, sort of building the real life chemistry and then making sure it also works for your characters, the characters you're playing?
I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty hard not to have chemistry with Margaret. She's so like beautiful and charming. And I just really, we just really instantly took to each other. And I think in the same way that our characters in the movie are sort of like really different, but are side by side on this project, I think that's like the best way to get to know people kind of accidentally. It's my favorite way to date. It's like, I think it's just the best way to get intimate with someone. And I think our like relationship in the movie sort of mirrored our real life relationship in that we were just both like, isn't this crazy? Like, oh my God. Like, I just remember getting a DM from her that just said, is this real life? And that's when I knew that she was cast. And yeah, I think after we met at rehearsals and afterwards, I think we both came in with like, what is this process going to be? Like totally open and ready for like whatever the gods demand. And Ethan was so chill and easy and was like, okay, that was great. Like we finished early. We did way less rehearsals than we intended to. And so Margaret and I took a really long walk through the city from like uptown to downtown and had lunch and just really became friends. I think we just were in it, and I think we had very similar approaches. Neither of us are very precious or serious about the process, to the point where like I remember Margaret would like before a take she'd be like, well because I can't do my character if I'm not wearing the right shoes. Like it's just like making fun of actors and acting. And I think we were really kind of, in step in that way. And I just love her. I think, I guess we got lucky because you're right. Chemistry isn't always guaranteed.
Occasionally it's, part of the process is figuring out how to make that part of the acting, making it part of like, how would my character feel about this person? My character likes this person. I guess I do too. Yes.
Yep.
Well, I guess it comes down to casting, chemistry, stuff like that. But you did chemistry reads over Zoom?
I did chemistry reads with a bunch of other actresses for Jamie.
Interesting.
So yeah, which was also really cool to see. Once again, everyone was great. It was just like a specific energy, and there was like a million different ways of doing that character, So that was also educational.
This movie also has, pretty classic Coen, like ensemble of people who I have to assume a lot of these people that came in, people like, Matt Damon and stuff like that, you didn't work. It wasn't like you and Margaret where you're there for the whole process. It's, they come in, they have a few hours, days, whatever. So I'm curious what that experience is like, working with people where you don't get a lot of time. you don't get a lot of like preparation or anything like that, but you still have to make your different, the ways you work together. What is that like when you're working on a movie like this and you have a scene with someone and it's important and you want to get the right takes, but you don't have a lot of time with this person? What is that experience like?
Well, with Matt Damon, it was, oh boy, what a treat. I mean, just to watch him figure out that scene, that speech where you watch him be like, okay, I'm going to take my hat off. I don't know if maybe the listeners haven't seen the movie yet, but he delivers a very kind of earnest plea speech to a case of dildos. And
spoilers, I guess.
Spoilers, I guess, but also it's in the trailer, whatever. But he was so committed and so serious and in the work, but in between takes was so like silly. And I think he was someone that was so lovely and down to earth and really disarming that when I have time with someone like that, I usually just kind of want to know about like their life and how they manage their life. And because it's a weird job, and it's how do you have, like, I asked him like how he met his wife and what his kids are into and where does he live and just these holistic things. But he was just easy and it was just fun to watch. And Coleman too. Coleman was someone, it's because we don't really have that much. My scenes with them were pretty, it's not like, there's a lot of relationship or not that much interaction where I'm kind of watching them in a way. So that's the best because you're just watching greats do what they do. And yeah, watching Coleman deliver his speech and also, yeah, his process of really, like, you have to kind of like take up the space that you need and ask for the things you need. And watching him do that was really, really inspiring.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a lot like you said, being young and watching those sitcoms, just sort of watching and absorbing and being like, there's no A plus B here, but you're getting something from just watching these people do what they do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm trying to figure out the science, but I don't know if there is any.
If you do, let us know because it would make this job a lot
will.
easier.
I will.
Thank you so much. I am curious, you touched on a little bit about, just sort of the experience of Ethan and Trish and, what that brings to a set. I'm curious if there's any note you got from either that sticks out, something like actable and actionable and stuff like that. That really sort of speaks to what the direction was like and speaks to like what kind of director you are and what kind of notes you in particular respond to.
Yeah. So cool. Like even their notes were artistic, it really, like, I remember Ethan in the line, I have a one-word line where I say to Matt Damon, I say Democrats. And I think he said rising instead of falling. And I was like, whoa, cool. So that's, a beautiful way of giving a very like technical note. And I remember he also said in one scene afterwards, he said, okay, like that's how a modern woman would react to that situation. Like, how about a woman steeped in Henry James? And that's when I think the whole character really clicked for me, where I was like, oh, totally. That is the energy here. And that, and coupled with, I think Trish said she zipped up. So that helped with the physicality of her. And they really, it's very minimal, but it's really precise and technical and great. There's not all this like shit that you have to sift through to understand what they're trying to ask of you. It's really direct and an art form in itself. So cool. So cool.
Love that. So as we sort of come to the end of our time here, I do want to ask you about something that I'm sure you cannot say very much about, but it is Thunderbolts. I did want to ask you about it because we had Ayo on this show. Not that long ago. It was a couple months ago.
I'm going to
Love
listen.
her. And she could not speak about it very much, but we did talk a little bit about what she wanted to get from that type of experience. So I want to ask you the same question. What no matter what the details end up being, what are you hoping to take away from, that world, that size of project? What are you hoping that it adds to your toolbox or just, life experience? What are you hoping to take away from that?
Oh my God, I wish I knew what Ayo said. Copy and paste what Ayo said.
I could pull up the episode. I think it was back in June or whatever.
Oh, fun. Oh my God. Yeah, wow. It's been in the works for so long. I'm getting training. I had my personal training this morning, which is like, let's be real. That's huge.
It's a perk. It is a perk of the job.
Perk. And just to kind of give yourself permission to like focus on that, I think is sick. So getting ripped, even though I don't even really have to, but I feel like, I'm always not sure what I can say and can't say, but I think I'm excited to work with those people. I'm kind of treating it like any other movie. I think I'm excited to work with Jake. Jake Schreier. I'm excited to work with, I think it's been announced, right? Yeah, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And yeah, I'm excited to work with those people and just learn from the greats once again. And I think just getting a little peek behind, I mean, it's a whole machine and I'm really just curious about it and want to understand it, and it's something different. So excited for that experience and excited to hear what Ayo had to say.
I love that. It kind of matched up a little bit. It was pretty similar.
Oh, okay.
You said kind of the same thing. She did not mention the trainer, but it was a little early in the process. So to sort of wrap up here, I did see you say somewhere that you are someone who wants to make your own stuff one day. That is a goal for you. And I think the way you put it is, you'd like to be synonymous with a taste or a sensibility, the stuff you make. So I'm curious, putting out into the world, what would that taste or sensibility ideally be? If you were to make your own stuff, what would you like the aesthetic to be synonymous with your name? I
think it's just an extension of my own taste and sensibility. I think just I find it hard to imagine me making like a straight drama. Who knows? Maybe I will, but I really enjoy putting out lightness and joy into the world, and I imagine that'll continue to drive me in things that I want to make myself. And so it's hard to say because it's like audiences will be like, oh, well, we'll be the judge of that, bitch. Like, let's see if what you do is funny. But I think just sort of a kind of awareness, a kind of wit, if you will. And I immediately hated that. And like I don't know, a bit off, a bit strange, a bit existential, a bit surreal, and maybe a bit hefty at the core, but silly on the outside. Maybe. I'm trying to like kind of the things that I have cooking, I'm trying to think about words I would use to describe them. Yeah, I think just in the same way that there are these people that you sign up for anything that they do because you are on the same wavelength. You're picking up what they're putting down. That's kind of what I hope for.
Absolutely. Sounds good to me. Geraldine, thank you so much again for being here. This was a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you, pleasure to talk to you. And we will absolutely be, can't wait to see what you do next and going forward.
Thank you. Thanks so much. This was really nice. I love talking about this stuff.
We try and make it as nice as possible. And yeah, we'd love to have you back anytime. Thank you so much for being here.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, as always, to our brilliant producer, Jamie Muffett, and to the whole team at Backstage. Samantha Sherlock, Mark Stinson, Caitlin Watkins, and of course, Kasey Howe. Visit Backstage.com, and don't forget, you can subscribe to Backstage with code ENVELOPE at checkout for a free trial. 100% free, you simply cannot beat that. For more exclusive content, find us on Facebook and Twitter at In the Envelope, and subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Who should we interview next? Let us know. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time for another peek in the envelope.